Well, we appear to be in a few problems, ladies and gentlemen. It would appear that we need to win our next 2 games. It would appear Newcastle away is not a joke and shouldn't be undermined or underestimated because they're not overhyped. It would appear that Nicholas fucking Jackson is the reason that we had no chance of getting a result today once he was sent off. It would appear all of these things are factual and correct. This game was so crucial, was so important, was so vital for Champions League because I've mentally prepped everyone and anyone to expect after what we did against Ipswich the second time that this is going down to the last day. Okay? I have mentally prepped you all as much as I can for that scenario and that reality because it is the reality. And I've said that. It's going down to the last day. So, now we have to think, how do we want that to play out on the last day? Do we want to go to the last day ahead of Forest or behind Forest? Do we want to be level on points on goal difference? Do we want to be ahead? This is all up to us. That's the only thing we can control because Nottingham Forest are playing Leicester at the City Ground and I'll be damned and I'll be darned if I'm going to sit there hoping for Leicester City to go to the City Ground and do something for me. This is not the type of begging and the type of pleading that we should really have to resort to secure an extra fifth spot for Champions League football. It's just not the level that we should be having to drop to ask Leicester City, relegated Leicester City, to do us a favour. That's embarrassing. Now, we concede that early goal. I had no issue with the lineup because I already knew from the Conference League fixture that we were going to play that team because it was obvious, right? Reece James played in midfield. He's been, rested and rotated and looked after, and this is the system. And I had no issue with that. 2 minutes in, we're 1-0 down. I'm not even angry. I'm not even disappointed. I'm shocked. I'm absolutely bamboozled. I'm blown away. Because I wasn't even ready for that. I was expecting a chess match. I was expecting Newcastle to be just as nervous as us, even though they're the favourites for the game, even though I know that at home they're a problem, even though that we're going into a battleground. I thought, you know what? First 10, 15 minutes, they're going to be just as nervous as us. It's a big game. We're both level on points. They can't lose. We can't lose. So, nah. They just went bang, immediately. And it's not good defending. It's the back post. Someone's got to be on him and someone's got to be looking after him. But no one is. And it just trickles. I swear that ball must have trickled across the box for like 5 minutes. I swear. You know when you're on YouTube and you're playing a video and you're speeding it up? Speed it down. Speed it down. That ball took so long to get to Tonali. I thought I was watching in slow-mo. I thought I was watching a replay, a VAR. So we're 1-0 down. That can happen. This is why Newcastle is a problem. This is why you have to respect where we're going. This is why Everton at home, Fulham, Liverpool, drunken, skunken. This is why you don't let that do too much to a point where you're disrespecting Newcastle, because Newcastle are not to be disrespected. They've won a trophy. They're challenging for the same things we're challenging for. They've qualified for Champions League more recently than us. They're going to qualify for Champions League again, whilst we're not sure. So let's not disrespect Newcastle. We've lost 3 in a row at this ground for a reason, right? Now, I would have taken a point today. That's not me being defeatist. That's me being real. I would have taken a point because I know how valuable that point is. I'm not interested in second. People are like, oh, we can get second. We can get third. Walk before you run. We don't even have Champions League football secured and you're thinking about second. Fuck second. We need Champions League. We don't need second. We don't need third. We don't need a fake ego pump or boost. We don't need it. It's not a trophy. We need Champions League. I would have taken a point. I would have bit your hand off for a point because that point is so valuable. To go to City Ground after doing what you must do against Man United, which is beat them, ahead of Nottingham Forest. So they have to come out. So they can't sit in a low block. So we're not going there needing a win. So they don't get to counter-attack with Elanga. But that appears to be what we're facing now. That appears to be what is potentially coming our way. And we didn't do very well with 11 men. Let me just make that clear. I don't want to sit here and say that the 10 men changed the game because we were playing well, because we wasn't. We were getting ripped open through the middle. They were finding gaps. They were finding space, and they were creating more chances. And they had like 8 shots, 4 on target, or whatever it was, and we had a couple of attempts done on target. So they were the better team. They were in their groove. But that's okay, because I've seen better, more experienced Chelsea teams with better managers come to the stadium and struggle. I'm expecting to struggle. I am ready mentally to struggle. I am ready to struggle for 45 minutes if I have to. But I need everybody on the pitch. I need everybody available so we can make substitutions, so we can be tactically flexible, so we can respond. Now, Nicholas Jackson has robbed me and robbed us and robbed our club of that opportunity today. Not Maresca for his tactics, not the players. He did. And I don't have no problem scapegoating, because it's not scapegoating, it's the facts of the matter. The guy has elbowed someone in the neck on a challenge for an aerial duel from a fucking goal kick or whatever it was. You do not need to do that. We know we're not winning aerial duels with Botman, Shah, Arts and Crafts coming off the bench, Livramento, Dan Burn, Tonali, Bruno Guimaraes. You are not winning aerial duels. We have to accept where we are strong and where we are weak. We are not winning that fight. So do not do too much. Battle legally. Put him off legally. Do not elbow him in the neck. Because now the VAR checks happen. This is not Diego Costa in 2015. There are VAR checks. So now, he wasn't even in 2015. I am rattled, right? So now we're at a point where you are off the pitch. We are down to 10 men. We don't have anybody to play from the front. We have to commit Palmers and Enzos and Cucureas to the box against 6'2", 6'3" defenders. We don't have you available for Manchester United. We don't have you available for Nottingham Forest. You are now suspended for the rest of the Premier League campaign, and that takes us to George, where that's the only criticism I have of Maresca today, is that you didn't bring on George in the last 10 minutes and go for it, because losing 1-0 and losing 2-0 makes no difference. We're not going to catch up with Newcastle's goal difference. We're not going to catch up with Newcastle. And Nottingham Forest, unless they batter Leicester like 5 or 6-0, we should be having a stronger goal difference. So you're not even playing with those differentials. But if you bring on George, you just give yourself a chance to potentially get an equaliser. So that's the one thing I'll say of Maresca today. The rest of the substitutions I have no problem with. I have no problem with you bringing James into midfield, because I think his ball striking ability is far superior to what his crosses would do versus those defenders and our lack of box presence. We weren't going to win any headers in the box today. We weren't really going to win anything in the box today, because their defenders can defend, and they're big and they're strong and they're well drilled and they are responsible. They're a very balanced team. I don't really care how Newcastle were playing before this game. Newcastle are a very good side. Their recruitment has been spot on. They've got a lethal striker. They've got good goal-scoring wingers. They've got physical midfielders, box to box. And they've got good defenders and good fullbacks and a goalkeeper. 4-3-3. Whether you like it or not, that is the fact. That is a balanced team. We didn't have any balance. As soon as Jackson was off, we had no balance. Because now we are really trying to outnumber them in midfield with the box midfield, which I have no problem with. There's no point putting someone in the box because we're not going to windows. So we're trying to find something on the edge of their area and then hopefully release some shots, get some deflections, get some free kicks, moment of magic, moment of brilliance, something like that. And we're trying to make sure we don't go 2-0 down from 45 all the way to about 75, 80, So we're still in the game, but that's when you've got to make the substitution to bring George on to now go for the game. I understand you staying in the game. I credit every single player on that pitch for not capitulating. Sanchez, no problems today. Nobody capitulated. Nobody allowed Newcastle to take us for mugs and go and sweep us 3, 4, 5. I respect that. I saw the effort. I saw the graft. You were handicapped by your own player in Nicholas Jackson. He has to take responsibility for that. Simple as that. You handicapped us today. You put us in a position where we had no chance of getting a result. Simple. And you're an idiot for that. You are an idiot for that. That is a moment where you have cost us potentially something that is season defining and club defining. But that's on you. I'm really not even here to try and, oh, well, it's okay. Everybody makes mistakes. No. Sometimes you fuck up and that is on you. Simple. You got to hold yourself to account. Where does this leave us? We have to win our next 2 games because I'm not relying on Leicester and I'm not relying on 17th place West Ham. So we have to win our next 2 games and we have to beat Nottingham Forest at the City Ground, in my opinion. When we get to that game, that's what we'll have to do. And if we don't have to do that, we still have to get a result. We can't lose. So listen, what I'm saying is we're going to have to find some sort of mental strength, backbone, resilience, everything. We're going to have to bring it. That final day is going to be, it's going to be bloodshed. It's going to be a battle. They are going to have the vuvuzelas. They're going to have the tifos. They're going to have the drums. They're going to have the fans. They're going to have the fireworks. They're going to have the flares. They're going to have everything. They're going to, you know when Graham Potter used to say they gave everything? These men are going to give everything. And we have to respond to that adversity. And we have to come out of it not losing. So I'm angry, but I'm not angry with the manager. I'm not angry with our players. I'm angry with Jackson. And now I'm angry again, as I always am, with our directors. Because Tyreek George should not be going into Manchester United and Forest on definitive, deciding Champions League fixtures as a striker for Chelsea Football Club. That is malpractice. That is negligence. And that is what happens when you do not take the January window seriously or the summer before and get yourself a second senior striker. Ta-da. Ta-da, ta-da, ta-da. Gue is back in training next week. He's been back from a long-term injury. Do you think we should be trusting Gue fresh off an injury in must-win games? I'd like to think you don't think that. George, really good player. Loving his Conference League performances. Loved his winner against Fulham. Do you think we should be this is Dora the Explorer. Do you think we should be trusting George, a 19-year-old makeshift striker, from the start of these 2 crucial games against physical defenders like Maguire and Murillo? Do you think that is the correct answer to the question? And then we have the little theme song play in Spanish. Hola, amigo. And then now you see the correct answer is no. So, this is what happens when, and again, people will think it's a joke, but I'm very consistent. I don't really care about the manager. If we don't make Champions League, I'm not onto the manager. I'm not onto the manager if we lose the final of the Conference League. If we make it, fantastic. But I'm onto these directors. I'm onto these directors whether we qualify for the Champions League or we don't. Because they have not built the team balanced in a way that puts us in a position where we don't miss the most chances in the league and we don't put ourselves in a position where we're drawing to Ipswich and we should be just brushing these teams aside so we're not playing against Man United and Forest shitting ourselves. Whether we're going to get Champions League or we're not. And they hired the manager. And I've made all these points in videos where I've been at the desk. So, look, this is the situation we're in. And this is what happens when you don't build your squad correctly and you take the piss in windows with all sorts of, nonsense. It's just, that's what happens when you leave a window with 4 10s and 1 striker. That's what happens. This is what happens. It's no surprise, it's no shock. This is what happens. So, learn from your mistakes if you're going to still be employed this summer, which you probably will be, and don't do this shit again. Because whether we make it or we don't, it has been fortuitous. It has been fortunate. It has been a bit lucky. We're a bit lucky that we actually play Forest on the last day and we can actually decide our fate with them. Because, you know, in a normal circumstance, you're not playing Forest. You're not playing the only other team outside of Villa that actually is trying to qualify. You're playing anyone else. And if you're playing anyone else, as it stands right now, as I'm recording, this is not in our hands. This Champions League qualification, if we're not playing Forest on the last day, it's not in our hands. It's in Forest's hands, it's in Villa's hands. It's not in our hands. Because they got a game in hand, Forest. So, listen, we have fucked up today, but it wasn't really us, if you get what I'm saying. It's Jackson, and he has to take that L. I'm not going to criticize our second half performance. I think it was very good. I think we stayed in the game. I just wanted that George sub, but even that doesn't necessarily mean anything. Doesn't mean we're getting an equaliser. Credit to the boys for giving their best. Credit to the manager for keeping things together whilst we were down 10 men. 0-0 with 10 men. 1-0 loss. Come from the third minute, second minute. And credit to Newcastle because they're a good team. And I wasn't the one disrespecting them. I wasn't the one saying, oh, Newcastle are overrated. Newcastle away. Oh, yeah, we can get that done. And most of you wasn't because most of you are not stupid. Most of you actually understand that Newcastle is a proper place to go. And they actually mentally are checked in, unlike Liverpool. But unfortunately, people think Newcastle's a joke. And then they lose again to Newcastle and they actually realise, 4 defeats in a row, we should probably start taking these people seriously. Listen, it is what it is. Smash up the icons. It's a very simple situation. Beat Man United, beat Forest. That's it. It's going to be fun. It's going to be dramatic. Hopefully we get it done. But it's 50-50, guys. It's the flip of a coin now. So you better pick heads or tails in the chat, in the comments. Till next time, in a bit, people. Peace.